Revocation of banking systems. I call to all spiritual contracts that exist within my past, present and future beings, selves and existences in this dimension and time stream, all time streams above and below the Earth-centric sine wave of coexistence. At this exact moment in the ever-present co-creating moment, I summon all DNA lineage ancestors to create a unified proper spiritual cord of equity so I may find remedy and resolve with all contracts that have inserted fine print during the pre-birth and birth process. I call to the four elements air, earth, water and fire. I call forth the spiritual cord of equity with all ancestors in union with the migration patterns of all soul families incarnating on Earth Mother. I call the primary ancestor spirits of Earth Mother to come into this spiritual cord of equity to hold space for the reading and removal of all contracts dealing with the energetic exchange of value systems. I call forth the Earth Global Dreamtime. I call to the unified Dreamtime societies of all Earth to come to this spiritual cord of equity to provide their complete wisdom to this sacred moment in which I reclaim my sovereign spirit authority for all exchange of energy for value systems. I hereby revoke all spiritual contracts with the primary banking families. I revoke all spiritual contracts with all banking family crests. I revoke, remove and dissolve all banking family trusts that use my name as a number for energy harvesting. I revoke all assumed rights used by the DNA-based kingship, lordship, or manor role contracts that function within all banking families. I hereby state I do not consent to rule by the few. I do not consent to rule by the banking families. I do not consent with the assumed authority of the banking families funding the free court systems. I revoke all rights, privileges and rules created by the family crest-based or DNA lineage-based banking families to dominate and control the free court system. I hereby revoke all spiritual contracts that define the bank system as being intertwined with my free will. I revoke all fine print within all of my soul contracts past, present and future that deal with any banking system as a 3D matrix debt collection or energy harvesting system. I demand the instant repayment of all energy and 3D matrix representations of value. I do not consent to the use of corrupt courts as a means of judgment. I revoke all rights of 3D-based courts' assumptions of power with any 3D exchange for value systems created for the follies of the banking families. I hereby revoke all consent of ink-based, web-based or energy-based signature harvesting systems. I revoke all rights to use my 3D matrix signature to represent me in any court system, spiritual or 3D matrix. I do not consent to the use of my soul contracts as a means of energy harvesting from any of the primary banking systems created by the primary soul contract holding banking families. I revoke all rights to use my name in any form of banking family coat of arms contracts. I demand the instant and permanent erasure of all signatures used to represent me in the banking exchange for value system. I do not consent to the use of my life force for any exchange for value banking system that is not completely transparent with all transactions, spiritual or 3D matrix. I hereby state that all bank-based buildings using sacred geometry have no power over my sovereign free will. I hereby revoke all spiritual contracts with all banking systems that use sacred geometry as a means of energy harvesting or a tool for domination and control. I revoke all rights, privileges and assumptions with all buildings that use sacred geometry as fine print soul contract enforcement systems. I do not consent to any sacred geometry building to house, hold or transfer any of my life force to any banking system on all of Earth's timelines and or coexisting dimensions. I hereby revoke all spiritual contracts with all sacred geometry systems that use my life force without direct consent from me and all of my soul family ancestors in complete agreement. I revoke all rights, assumptions and rules that create a new sacred geometry banking system. I hereby declare that all banking families and systems are now banished from operating in secret, covert or overt ways to harvest my energy in any way, shape or form. I hereby declare that Earth Mother is now in dominion with me for all energy exchange for value systems. I call forth all the ancestors to honor this reading of my free will and enter it into the Earth Akashic record for all sentient kind to understand our freedom comes with the use of free will at all times.